What's up guys, my name is Houndish. You probably already know that. And today we've got a bunch of Destiny 2 news, updates, teasers, and more to discuss. So initially, Bungie speak about bento boxes. We'll discuss the community's feelings on that, some clarification from the Bungie team, and a couple of updates regarding the event this week. Bungie also teased more changes coming in episode Heresy, upcoming reveals that they have. Plus we'll talk about Chinese New Year in Destiny 2, new items that we can pick up there, and some interesting discussion regarding a potential return of ARMSDAY from back in Destiny 1, as well as the introduction of a shooting range, in the form of leaks which come from, well, just about the most reliable sources we have for leaks regarding Destiny, so potentially some cool features coming in the future. If you guys enjoyed the video, a rating below helps us out no end, but now let's get into it. And so today we'll start out with a few updates from Bungie. Of course, Bungie have spoken about the fact that they have plans to update Trials of Osiris and the Crucible in general in a more significant way as part of episode Heresy. So DMG teased once again, the team is looking to answer a good question: what if Trials wasn't flawless or bust anymore? And they've indicated separately they'll be focusing on changes to the Lighthouse, and really a Trials of Osiris revamp. But with regards to the updates about that this week, DMG also said that this Trials Crucible article is a bit bigger than anticipated. The original plan was Wednesday, but it may need more time in the oven, just an extra day for localization and editorial. So if it doesn't drop today, it sounds like it might even be alongside the TWID or something like that, but as a dedicated article. So given that there will be other elements of Heresy Bungie also want to speak about in the coming weeks, it looks like we'll get probably a couple of walls of text regarding future content in the next few days. So something to look forward to, I guess. I'll keep you posted on all of that. But onto a couple of other things. Players have found a way to get the new Chinese New Year emblem for Destiny 2 a little bit early. Of course, it is Year of the Snake, so there'll be the emblem. I think we might get that free gift of bright dust that Bungie have given us for most years. I think it's a few hundred bright dust normally, and sometimes they have some other Eververse things that they throw into the mix. So I'll link an article below if you want to try and get that emblem a little bit early, although DMG also said we'll be sharing a code for this emblem soon, no need to jump through these hoops. So if you want to save yourself a bit of effort and can wait a while longer, Bungie will be giving us the official details on how to get this soon, and it will be a straight up emblem code redemption, so it's going to be pretty easy. Otherwise, on top of the bright dust that we typically see, it would appear there are a handful of cosmetics available for Chinese New Year once again this year, so we can see the bundle image on screen. These do look like they'll be silver-only purchases, but there's the Festive Lantern shell available up first. On top of that, we have the King Snake exotic ship, and also the Lion Dance Sparrows, so should be dropping in the game as early as next week, but I'll keep you guys posted. For other updates right here, Sneaky Beaver pointed out the Salvation's Edge memento has been bugged pretty much since launch, and the D2 team said we're planning a fix and a make good for the Heresy launch, and players who met the requirements will be included. So if you've been missing out on the Salvation's Edge memento, finally it looks like something will be done about it with the launch of Heresy. Otherwise though, let's talk about some of the content this week. Firstly, regarding the bento quests, Bungie Help did say they're aware of an issue where bento quests from the Drifter are not appearing in the abandoned quest kiosk if abandoned. But they did push an update for that shortly after, and said a fix has been pushed live, and abandoned bento box quests will appear in Drifter's Pastis Prologue task submenu, and the main packed lunch quest will appear in Eris's inventory on the moon. So if you happen to abandon any of those, at least they can be reacquired now. Otherwise, there's been a lot of conversation about the time gating of Chatterwhite, and we need to do 5 bento box completions. But as I pointed out yesterday, that's actually referring to 5 bento quest completions. So even though the raid one available right now will give us 2 bento tokens, we'll need 5 quest completions, and the next time we'll be able to get quests will be on Friday from Xur. In terms of the time gate thing, in a lot of ways it really is not a big deal. It's just a shader and we will get it on Friday. I totally appreciate that. But that isn't the same as me saying I think it's a good idea to time gate it. Bungie are well aware that players don't enjoy the sort of time gating component of lots of things in the game. And at a time when player sentiment has definitely been struggling, I think having players wait until Friday just doesn't really benefit the game community or sentiment around Destiny in general. So it isn't ideal. Give us your thoughts down below. Either way, Xur will have 3 of the Pastis Prologue quests in his inventory, assuming that all 3 appear on Friday. I assume they probably will, because the event will only have a little over a week left to actually run by the time that Xur comes. So if you're wondering about making progress at the end of the week, Xur's quests will include Dredgeons of Yore, and that requires us to get Guardian Final Blows in Crucible or Gambit, and Final Blows in Gambit with hand cannons will earn additional progress. And there's a listing of 50 Guardians right there. I'm assuming that's going to be a point-based system. The other quest is Nightmare Kills, and the objective is to defeat Nightmare bosses and challenging combatants. So it's probably another one where Altars of Sorrow is going to be really useful. And the last quest is Snakebite to secure final blows with Gambit weapons, and presumably that could be any Gambit weapon. We'll have to see if they all count, but those are the additional quests coming up on Friday and with a reset next week. So if you're looking for your 4th or 5th quest completions, there should be some pretty easy options in just a couple of days. Onto a couple of other bits of discussion right here though. Destiny Bulletin shared that D2 appears to be getting a shooting range and ARMSDAY weekly event according to a new leak. And this leak potentially coming from a reliable source, as they've provided information which has turned out to be correct in the past, as recently as last year when they leaked that the expansion model for Destiny would be changing ahead of when Bungie actually announced Frontiers. So while still taking it with a pinch of salt, this is about as reliable as we get these days. And the game post shared, this comes from a well-known Destiny 2 leaker, Liz, who shared some new details on Discord. And the source, who also spoke about Frontiers, claims that Bungie is exploring the idea of bringing back a firing range, as well as ARMSDAY, but they add that the shooting range will not be a return to the Tribute Hall, but a completely new space in the tower. On top of that, they spoke about ARMSDAY and Bungie's hope to bring that event back at some point, but it'd be more similar to a weekly event like the Iron Banner, as opposed to being on a single day of the week. And back in Destiny 1, Bungie had a set of Foundry weapons that essentially refreshed every Wednesday, and sometimes had some pretty juicy rolls. So Wednesday used to be ARMSDAY, I'm sure many of you guys remember that, and according to this, it would include a shooting range set up by Banshee, although the source did say this would be months out, and of course has the potential to be scrapped, like any very early leaked content. So again, we always should take this with a pinch of salt, but I would say absolutely this is something that Bungie should have already been doing by this point, both in terms of a shooting range but also a space to test various abilities and gear in the game. It's something which has been long requested. It also sort of almost forms part of a conversation recently as well about player housing, which we do see in other titles but hasn't really been a thing in Destiny. So a shooting range in itself would be cool, but also a weapon event of some sort, whether it was simply like what we had with ARMSDAY back in D1 or a week-long event, and that is an interesting prospect, especially if Bungie look at how they could integrate crafting and more deterministic sources for weapons into the game. We also know that weapon tiers are coming into the game with Frontiers, so potentially there's some connectivity with things that Bungie have already spoken to us about and an event like this happening. Certainly not something I would discourage Bungie from doing, as obviously it's a different content delivery system, it's a different way with engaging with loot and all that kind of stuff in the game. So I think broadly there's a lot that Bungie could do in this space, but we will simply have to wait and see whether it turns out to be a thing or not. Give us your thoughts in the comment section, what you'd like to see, and whether you think this is even in the realms of possibility at this point. I'm curious to get your thoughts below. For today though guys, that is what we have to speak about. So as always, I hope you found the video interesting at the very least. If you want to be kept up to date with everything coming out in the next couple of weeks really, all the reveals for Heresy and the new content itself when it drops, then be sure to get subscribed, hit the bell icon down below, and that way you'll get notifications whenever there's new content. Otherwise though, if you've enjoyed it, do us a favor and hit the rating down below. One way or another, it's always appreciated. Otherwise though, cheers for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.